All right. As far as I know, we're good, but you never know. We're This is just in infancy, this podcast, so we're still figuring out the kinks. Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, we are back with the episode number 306 of the Turin Giants podcast. I'm Farhad. I am host, love you most. And I'm joined here by the stern Zach. There's just two of us here, but I think we can make it happen. So much to talk about. Thank you guys for joining us on this hot summer day.
Stern.
Zach,
I thought I was jovial.
You're a barrel of laughs, all right. Where are you? Zach, welcome. Representing H-Town, Zach. Well, smooth start, but where do you want to? What do you want to say, man? I get some stuff ready here.
Yeah, I'm just. I think we have something else to discuss today, other than the defeat, right? Which is kind of always a bummer when you got to talk about a loss. But we got Jonathan David. You got the opening of the market. You've got some other news going on. So I think we got a lot of fun things to talk about, despite the fact that we have crashed out of the Club World Cup.
All right, well, let's begin the madness. All right, boys and girls, we are live on YouTube as well. We'll try to bring you more YouTube content this upcoming season. And already getting the comments, Juve Cornercast, what's up, my friend? I know you're very active. You want to collab, and I feel like you should invite us to your podcast. So that's the way we should do that. I will also love to bring you some stories from Orlando. The reason my voice sounds like this is all of the air travel that had to take place in order for me to make the trip to Orlando happen. The kids loved it. The wife loved it. We met some wonderful people. It was a great trip. Not a great result, but you know what? It's when you're experiencing a game live, the loss feels a little less. It hurts a little less. You know, you got to see the game. You were a part of it, more or less. But the result was embarrassing, and I'll tell you more about it. Would you? What do you say, Zach? We do a little Orlando recap. I know it's been a while, but I've got some interesting stories. What do you say?
I think you should absolutely share them. You were kind of texting the Turin Giants crew on the side about the people that you met and you talked to and the funny things that you talked with them about and experienced. And I think that you absolutely should share those stories with the audience.
All right. Well, don't hold my feet over the fire. Let's do this. So we arrived to a beautiful Grand Bohemian Hotel in Orlando, which my wife booked. She had no idea there will be a designated FIFA desk in the front with two wonderful Italian people working there. And we start talking about Juve. They happen to be Juve fans, these FIFA representatives that are there for, to help guide the guests and whatnot. And the lady concierge tells me, you might want to turn around. And right behind me, sitting, Mr. World Champion, Mr. Trezeguet. I've met many people living in LA. You meet celebrities, and it's you get starstruck. But as you kind of live there, that feeling goes away. But meeting David Trezeguet was just, I don't know what I was saying. I don't know what I was talking to him about. But it was quick. He was in the middle of something. I try not to bother them, but I wasn't gonna get that opportunity escape. Kids and I took a selfie, and then I showed him the videos and what he's done for Juve. We also met Uncle Beppe finally in the flesh. Had a short lunch, then we had some beers with him later in the evening. He's a busy guy. Juventus invited him to kind of give the back, behind the scenes perspective on the Juve tour, which I think it was organized pretty well. To be honest with you, I'll get into that, but thanks to Beppe, he was so sweet. He's just even sweeter in person, if you can even imagine that. We discussed plans. There's some Turin Giants and Uncle Beppe stuff coming up. Definitely tune in next season. It's going to be exciting. We're talking about collaboration and just overall chatting with him about life, about his content creation. He's a humble guy. He works a lot. My kids were actually really shocked by how much he worked. He was always, when we were in front of Juve fans and Juve crowd, he got them going. So what are the chances people are not subscribed to GGS Juve's YouTube channel? But if you're not, please follow him. He's a sweetheart of a guy, and I'm glad to have. He was actually staying in our hotel as well, and he texted me when he saw the picture of me and Trezeguet. He's like, "Where is this?" So I gave him the name of the hotel. He's like, "Are you kidding me? I'm coming downstairs right now." So it took him a couple of minutes, but he did meet Trezeguet, and Trezeguet in person. He's a busy guy. I understand. He wasn't a sweetheart, hugs and kisses type of guy, but I understand he was just chilling. And a lot of people who meet professional athletes, they kind of lose their shit, and you got to keep it cool, man. I've seen people do some irrational shit when they meet the stars, and just give them something to smile about. Don't yell their name. Be cool, and hopefully remember the encounter. I feel like a lot of people, when they say never meet your heroes, I feel like they were misbehaving in some way that warranted that reaction. So, my advice would be just play it cool. They're humans too, and they may not be in a good mood.
But sometimes Farhad, you panic, right? And you're like, "What do I do with my hands?" And
yeah, exactly.
Then you get in your own head.
It's so funny you mention that, because I've had a recurring dream of meeting Del Piero, and I'm telling you, 6-7 dreams where I couldn't get the camera to work. So when I did meet him, I told him, "I'm gonna make sure this is not a dream. I'm opening the camera. We're taking a nice photo together." But yeah, just get your camera ready. Nobody wants to stand there, looking at you fumbling with the phone camera. And actually, when there was a meet and greet, we got to meet Trezeguet twice. He signed autographs for my kids and stuff. That was with the group in the Juve village, which was organized really well. I was really impressed by the organization level, because we've been burned before. People in the US who go and see these friendlies that are put together every year. It's just and I've stopped going because it's just a money grab. It's lackluster organization. But the FIFA World Cup, for a tournament that was just organized, it's the first time they're doing it pretty well. There was this what's the word, Zach? I don't know English that well, but pomp and circumstance, is that the thing when something is
when there's a good enough show about it while also having pretty solid logistics.
It was pretty well organized, with the teams coming on the field and people cheering. But if I have one advice to give to organizers, next year just have it on the surface of the sun, because an open bowl, a stadium that fits 74,000 people or 70,000 people, whatever it was, the Camping World Stadium, which is a terrible name in a terrible neighborhood. It's like, I've seen some hoods in America. I've worked in the worst neighborhoods in Los Angeles, but a Central Florida hood is bad. It was like keep your windows closed kind of bad. So I don't know why they would build a stadium there, but Yeah, it was really
bland, Farhad. It's always
man.
bland.
But at least it was really cool. Like there's a breeze going on, but it's super hot. It was like almost 100 degrees. Our seats were really nice. I was given seats by my friend, but then of course we had to sneak in the front row, and we were sitting right under the Juve bench. Anything that's happening is happening in front of us. That was an experience unto itself. It was listening to Tudor screaming instructions and understanding everything type of close. It was magnificent seats. 4 seats wide open. Nobody showed up. So yeah, we took the opportunity. If you learn anything from today's episode, just if there's an opportunity, go for it. Screamed at a few players, got a couple of smiles. Told Kolomuani when we were losing hope of seeing him because Vlahovic was playing the entire game for some reason. I called him by his name. That's why I knew he would turn around. There's Randall, come on. Aren't you gonna play? The guy shrugs, points to Tudor, and just shrugs his shoulders, which I thought that was a funny moment. Like, come on, it's not my fault. Got my coach right here. McKennie never turned around. Yildiz made eye contact with my wife, which she still talks about because he's dreamy apparently. The star, no pun intended, the star of the show. He was a really sweet guy. I showed him my son's jersey, which was Yildiz. He requested that number. He waved to him. Sweet guy. Chico wouldn't turn around, even though I was screaming at him, "Chico te amo," about 5 times. It was getting embarrassing at some point. Who else was cool? Locatelli, he's a captain. He was waving. Douglas Luiz threw his training top at a Brazilian kid behind us who started crying. My son started crying because he thought it was for him, and I passed it to the kid behind me. But you know what? I told him, Amir, I will not be one of those parents who goes viral on YouTube because I kept the shirt for myself. Like, I am not trying to go viral for anything anything negative. Plus, it's the kid had a poster. They were they knew that he was getting the shirt. So I if anybody knows Yildiz and a signature for my son, that would totally make up for it because he was pissed, but he understood later. The Savona injury happened right in front of us. It was the collision with Haaland, if I'm not mistaken, right? Mm-hmm. Haaland is huge. And one thing, if you see players live in front of you, they're big dudes. They just it's kind of like the referees in the NBA. They're normal sized, but they just look minuscule in front of the giants. Same thing with football players. They're big guys, but Haaland, a different kind of big. And the crowd exploded when he came on, and he obviously helped bury us. But great experience, can't complain. Everybody was friendly. A lot of Juve jerseys, shockingly, a lot of Juve representation. I'd say it was about 40% to 60%. The Curva Sud, the people that I knew from the official fan clubs, they made a lot of noise. We kind of picked it up, and Man City fans they were kind of here and there, but Juve fans definitely came through on the TV, I think. Speaking of TV, they did show us a couple times just because the seats were so great. Every time there was a throw-in front of us, I tried to pick up a flag and show the Juve Chicago representation. If I remember something as we go, I'll gladly. One more thing, I signed my first autograph, which was so crazy. This will never stop being absurd for me.
You gotta tell the story. It was so silly.
Damn it, I forgot your name. I apologize, but people coming up to me, those who recognize, it was a great moment. Took some photos, hugged the listeners, kissed some babies. It was amazing. It was like a 1% of what Beppe was doing, because let me tell you, Beppe is popular. They would swarm him at some time. That's how big he is in the Juve community. But I was happy with my one autograph and a couple of photos. So thank you to all who came up to us. Florida is hot. And that's all I took away. And somehow I still managed to get sick from all the ACs and air conditioning coming in and out of buildings. Great experience. That's enough for me. Let's talk about stuff on the agenda. What do you say?
I think you kind of segued us with the
Oh no, Zach, you're muted.
Super hot, and
can't hear you, Zach. Let's figure that thing out. Let's get through some questions. Cola99 is watching us as always. Dan, what's up, buddy? I had dreams of meeting Farhad. You're so silly. Colosimo is well known around the Juve community as well. He's got a couple of shout outs, and it's a pleasure to know him. So thank you for joining us again, buddy. Zach, sound check.
I'm still here, but
crap. We can't hear Zach. I don't know what's going on.
Yeah, it's you. It's you, Farhad.
I can hear Zach on his end. Oh man, I cannot hear you. Let Zach, if they can hear you, take it away. Let me try to fix a couple of things. Okay.
I'll carry it for you, Farhad. All right. I think the perfect segue is what I was trying to say into the Real Madrid game because, I think there was a notable malaise to how that game was played, probably due to the match fixture list, as well as the heat and humidity. As somebody who lives kind of parallel to Florida and Houston, Texas, on the heat and humidity index, which is just off the charts. I was still surprised.
But at least the game was at 3 p.m.
Oh, yeah, right. Yeah, no, at least it was at a cool time of day. But I was still surprised the level at which the game was played, or the pace at which the game was played. It was a very slow pace. And at first I thought that would benefit us. One, we showed an actual discipline and structure in our formation that we did not show against Manchester City. In fact, something I directly criticized the team about. We rested our main guys against Manchester City, so we showed structure. We were rested. Real Madrid played their same 11 that they did the last game against Salzburg, and many of whom had played upwards of 70 games this year. So I thought a slow pace actually might benefit us, allow us to grow into the game, especially with how well we started. But alas, that assumption was proven completely wrong as our team. And this is the first thing, there's two main things I want to kind of highlight. But the first thing is just how crazy out of shape our team is relative to the teams we're playing. Real Madrid's played so many more games than us. They were running circles around us that second half. And if you hearken back to the end of the Serie A season, which I know a lot of Juve fans don't want to do, we really struggled in a lot of the second halves of those games. Didn't score a lot of goals in those second halves. After about the 65th minute, we were dead. And so one of the things, now that we're out of the competition and this sort of season has officially ended, that I want Tudor to focus on when the team starts again at the beginning of August, is they really got to work on their fitness. There's absolutely no excuse for the second youngest roster in Serie A to be so burnt out. I was
in a couple of group chats that mentioned that they just gassed after 60 minutes,
and which is it's inexcusable. I mean, it's a young team. When you think of young team, you think of vivacious and energetic and all of those synonyms. And our team was
vivacious.
Dead. Yeah, was just dead. And that is I think a hangover from Motta's tenure and how he conducted training. Because that can't be on Tudor. Tudor can't pick up a team in March or whenever it was and all of a sudden make us fit. That's just not how it works. And so hopefully that's something that he can focus in on. And I know we're going to talk market later, but the second thing is okay, your team is tired. These things happen. Who are you going to bring off the bench? And at best, our bench options are parallel. At best, when you bring in at the 59th minute, you bring in Nico, Gonzalez, and Kostic. Are you excited and optimistic and hopeful that those guys in the 59th minute are going to bring us back level? When you make subs in the, the 71st minute where you take off Yildiz and you bring on Coop? Are you now optimistic and hopeful that we are going to get back into the game? And then the 85th minute when you bring on Gotti and McKennie, right? I think at best, McKennie, maybe Nico are parallel moves. Kostic and Coop have done I don't feel that they are positive influences on a game. So I think if fitness is the one concern, the other concern of ours is we have absolutely no bench whatsoever. And so we need to get guys in either from next gen or some reasonably priced rotation options to actually challenge. Farhad, are you dying over there?
I'm not going to survive this podcast. Man,
it's just like we even if you are tired, you have to have a bench, and we've got nobody right now. And there was definitely some curiosity from my point on, why don't we see a guy like Weah start coming in at right wing back up for Costa, who played every game? Why don't we see Douglas Luiz come on and maybe play in that middle spot in order to facilitate some possession? And we didn't see any of them, presumably because they're on the way out. And it just showed us, I think, against City and especially against Real Madrid, how thin our team is.
This is just a random thought. I am referencing Rav's website, which is, hold on, let me switch me to a big view. So I talked to Rav, our dear friend. He should be a little less busy during the next season, so you will be seeing a lot more of him. I am referencing his website, juvenewslive.com, and Zach was talking about players that we need and the fitness level. Juventus legend Alessio Tacchinardi, he highlighted the need for reinforcement in midfield and defense. They need a good midfielder to play alongside Thuram and a fullback. I really like Lukumi from Bologna and Osimhen, Ederson, and Lukumi, even if I'm not the one spending the money, I would take these three players. So he agrees that we're not a complete squad. And I don't know if you guys talked about it on The Scoop, which is our other show with Zach and Frederick. Please tune in. The players that, if you can just do a quick recap of the players that do not fit Tudor's system and are on the way out.
So thanks.
And then we'll get back to Real Madrid.
Yeah, thanks for referencing The Scoop. It's really hot out there, folks. If you need an ice cold scoop of truth for what's happening behind the scenes, thanks for the laughs, Farhad. Tune into The Scoop. So what we've talked about is players leaving and players coming, and I think I'm gonna answer your question second. But first, by talking about the positions that we're looking at, we spent most of our time on The Scoop talking about center backs and forwards, because that is what, or those are the positions, that Comoli has prioritized for obvious reasons. So when you say Osimhen or Lukumi, I mean, that's forward and a center back. So when we look at players leaving, Dusan Vlahovic, from a forward standpoint, is a huge departure that we need to happen. Whatever money we do get for him is going to be converted into purchases. I think we're more interested in just getting his giant wage off of our bill. On the defensive side, Lloyd Kelly is going to be a difficult name to move, but Tudor and Comoli don't like him. So they've only been playing because they had to. So he is. They're going to look to maybe get rid of him and Rugani, who I think we should talk about today, and bring in two center backs like Balerdi from Marseille. You mentioned Lukumi. There's a couple other ones in the mix to compete and rotate for starting spots next to Bremer and Kalulu, because I feel like those two are probably a relatively strong lock-ins. I mean, Bremer, obviously. Kalulu maybe relatively strong lock-in for a starting spot to start the season. And then beyond that, it's everybody who didn't start essentially against Real Madrid. So Nico Gonzalez, Douglas Luiz, Coop Miners is safe for right now. Maybe the exception, but Weah, Mbangula, McKennie, all of these guys have been given permission, shall we say, from Tudor to leave if we get a good enough offer. And so that's some massaging that I think Camoli has to do. I did not like what June Tilly did last year, basically coming out and saying publicly, we don't want any of these guys come and take them on, which undermines your bargaining position. I think these names are simply internal, and Camoli is going to see if he can't work out some deals to try to preserve their value, maximize the sale, so that we can then convert them into impactful players.
I'm really bummed out about Mbangula. Not gonna lie, out of all those players, I feel like we can go the furthest with him. But I a little inside scoop of my own, even though I'm no Freddie Scoops, but the attitude from Mbangula, not a crowd favorite amongst Juve. So I think that's one of the reasons. I just feel like
it's a tactical thing. So Mbangula, at least in this part of his career, has played largely more of a winger type position. From everything we've seen from Tudor, you are you're looking at more tucked in 210s, so to speak. The two players that I was wondering when Tudor came on whether they would have a position on our team at all was Mbangula and Conceição, because of their penchant or history of playing out wide. Clearly, Chico convinced Tudor that he can play inside. Clearly, Mbangula has not. And so it might be a situation where you have a young talent that people are interested in. Like, we don't always have a lot of sellable assets at Juve, certainly not in the last few years. So the fact that we have a sellable player who doesn't fit our scheme makes it a pretty no-brainer to get that plus Venza, right, that we can convert into players. Is there a good player there? In my opinion, absolutely. I mean, his goal contribution for when he was playing per minute, I think, is one of, if not the highest on our team. So he definitely was good for us this year. But it might suck to say, but if he doesn't have a spot in our tactics, then you frankly, from a business standpoint, you flip him for the plus Venza and you turn that money into players that Tudor can use.
Excellent. Do you want to wrap up Real Madrid, because we do have a lot of stuff to talk about? I just let me, if you can just allow me 1 second. Mm-hmm. I got some shit from it. I hate Juve fans that are just so. There's. I don't even know what to call that. They can never be level-headed about Juve. Like, it's they take it personally. And I met it was an unpleasant encounter yesterday over some text messages, and it's like, I posted on the group chat saying, at no point during the game did I think, oh, my team Juve wants to win this game. Maybe a little harsh, maybe a couple of, first couple of moments with Colomwani missing that chip and a couple of shots. Other than that, did you feel like, oh, Juve is here to win this tournament?
I think
to me it's more than just inability. You can still try and show it. Like, it was Real Madrid by the end of the game, they were kind of giving up, and there was a moment at the end of the game. I don't remember. I mean, at the end of the game, it was just like, and Gio texted me too. He's like, I sat down. This was one of the games that I wanted to watch, and hoping that Juve will. And it's just like we're still here.
I think it's a tale. The game was a tale of two halves. For the first 35 minutes, we were the better team. We had the better chances. We had the
not two halves.
Tale two halves. And the first half was I felt like we were the better team. Yeah, there's going to be periods of play, like the last 10 minutes. Real Madrid was the better team. But overall, I think we were better. We had a higher XG. But that second half, and I think it comes down to fitness. It's like, you can want something, but you can only will your body to do so much. There was some.
And then you start making mistakes.
There was some adjustment from Real Madrid, but I don't think any adjustment accounted for the fact that Yildiz didn't see the ball for 20 minutes before he was subbed off. I think he just didn't have the energy to show for it. I mean, you saw a couple runs from Cambiasso where he went and he just could not get back. I mean, there's signs of exhaustion. So I think it goes back to fitness for me. I'm not going to assume there was a lack of effort. I think there was they ran out of gas because of the fitness issues that I said, and then there was nobody that they could bring on and change the game because our bench is horrible. That second half was brutal to watch. We went from 0.74 expected goals, largely due to the breakaway, Chico's header, the one Kelly to yield his shot that was slightly deflected out. That was pretty close to nothing the second half, 0.04 XG, nothing. So that's frustrating to watch, but I don't want to go so far as to then say they didn't want to win. I think you're seeing a team that was poorly trained and prepared by Bolza, most likely, for the rigors that a multiple competition, I should say, team has to have. And so that, like I said, number one, fitness was a thing I started off with. I think you couldn't hear me when I was talking about it and railing about it, but it was simply we ran out of gas, and you can't do anything at that point. Like there's no amount you can't recharge the batteries mid game, and so it sucked to watch the second half. But I think that's what it was. I do not attribute any of this to lack of will.
But the big testicles of the game goes to Di Gregorio.
I have a very big testicles.
No question.
I had friends who haven't texted me. We haven't talked in a while, and they're texting me about Di Gregorio. I had 3 friends who reached out. One of them was a Real Madrid fan. It doesn't matter. Hey, this guy kept you in the game. You guys have finally a keeper. I mean, we've been pretty lucky with Szczesny and Buffon, obviously, but I love me a good keeper. I'm the type of guy who cheers for the underdog. I've always loved drummers in bands the most, and to me, keepers are. I think my dad played keeper for a little bit, so I have a soft spot for them. Di Gregorio, El Tigre, big testicles of the week.
I think with times we just don't talk about him a lot. I think in those types of games, it's like, well, there's nothing he can do on the goals we've conceded, and he doesn't really make any mistakes. So we just end up not talking about him. We talk about either players who are horrible or players who stand out. I think for me at least, he's proven to be an extremely good keeper, composed in one-on-one scenarios, composed with the ball at his feet. I think the one area of concern, and we've highlighted it on this show, is his sort of aerial duel. I don't know exactly what the equivalent is for keepers, what it's called, but when in the air, when he's challenging things like on free kicks or corner kicks, he seems to sometimes go in with a little bit of hesitancy or weakness. I think that's the area of his game to improve on. But in all other facets, yesterday being a perfect example against, say, Man City in the Champions League during the season, where he also had some really big saves to keep us in it before we ultimately won that game. He's demonstrated that he can very well be the keeper of Juventus's future, in my opinion.
Hell of a player. He still haven't hit the prime as far as keepers go. I mean, he's still learning. Physical preparation is not that big a deal for keepers. So I feel like, of course it is, don't get me wrong, but I feel like keepers mature a little later than the field players. So definitely player of the game. Our friend Yorio is saying that our defense is terrible. Di Gregorio shouldn't have to save 10 shots. And those were goals. If it was any other keeper in a goal, it was a pretty impressive performance.
Especially the Bellingham near post one, and then the Valverde shot from deep. I think those were 2 fantastic saves. And I think this is a good segue actually to talk about our defense. So we've had to play the same defense pretty much the entire competition.
No, God, please, no.
Last episode, I was talking to Frederic about our defense. Having to start Kalulu, Savona, Kelly, all 3. If I'm not mistaken, he's still having nightmares. And then in this game, we bring in Rugani. Which I think many folks would say it's not like that's a material improvement. It just our defense is broken. Like they're injured. Bremer obviously, Cabal, Gatti still not fit. Even if they were all fit, I think there's only one world class defender there in the mix, anyways. It's why I said that management is exploring center backs and why we spend a lot of time on the scoop talking about center backs, because it's at the forefront, along with strikers, of Kamoli's mind. Um, and I do want to say that Rugani, I thought, was extremely composed. He kind of was his normal self, a steadily average stopgap. I think he probably was, in my opinion, just using the eyeball tests, no stats to back this up per se, but from an eyeball test perspective, I think he was our best defender yesterday. I think he was composed. I think he was good with his physicality. I think it composed defensively and when we had those spells of possession. So I want to applaud Rugani coming back to a team he hasn't played for in a year to play with a composure and discipline and maybe provide some structure and or leadership to Kelly and Kalulu.
Well, wasn't that one of the gripes that people had with Giuntoli, that he shipped him away to Ajax, and we could have so used him last season?
I agree with that. I think Juve fans seem to be split, or at least at the time, we're like, get this guy out of here. Why is he still on our books? He's just this perpetual backup. I don't know. I've always liked Rugani and De Chilio, relatively low cost rotational pieces. I mean, De Chilio was always injured, but rotational pieces that are happy to be backups, that you can plug them in and they do a job. So I thought we should keep him. We shipped him off, and we ended up in hindsight 2020, right? Absolutely needing a center back. Well, I think he showed any Juventus supporters who are detractors of his yesterday, at least, that he can still do a job. And as much as he's never going to be a starter for our team, he has been our team long enough to have played with Juventus legends, to know the culture, to know the winning mentality. And maybe after Danilo was shipped, keeping a guy around who has that connection to our winning past might be beneficial from a cultural standpoint. And that's not something I know have any indication of firsthand, but that's just a curiosity that I would like Tudor to explore with Rugani because of his history with the team.
He could be a huge asset for sure. All right. I don't know about you, but I was shocked to find out that a long-standing lead singer of Korn has signed for Juve. Juventus have made headlines in the summer transfer window with the imminent arrival of Canadian striker Jonathan David, marking their first major signing of the season. Transfer journalist Matteo Moretto reports that after a night of intense negotiations, the deal has been finalized in the early hours, with David now set to travel to Turin for his medical and sign a long-term contract. The forward joins as a free agent after his contract with Lille expired, and his arrival is seen as the key move to strengthen Juventus' front line. Amazing. Love it. And before we begin, to the racist bum on Instagram, he's not African, and you shouldn't be ashamed of having African strikers. He's Haitian, of Haitian descent. So, yeah, that was fun, blocking some racist asshole on Instagram. Because he was upset. We're going for Osimhen and Jonathan David and some other guy. Who's
Kolomwani. With a 3.
Kolomwani, yeah. He was upset that they're all Africans. Shut up. I'm so sick of people being ignorant. Like, the older I get, the ignorance just gets to me. That's why people, by age 40, they have like 3 friends and and a family. That's all you can. Anyways, piss me off. But anyways, Jonathan David, right?
Yeah, you're proud of that, aren't you? You're proud of that, aren't you? You've been preparing that all day.
We're back, baby.
I know we've been reporting on Jonathan David since we started episodes of The Scoop, specifically because Juventus targeted him from the beginning. The big hang-up with his arrival was his agents and entourage were demanding this giant upfront price. I think that was sort of what they were testing to see if anyone would pay it, and the market said no. And so they crawled back with their tail between their legs. Hey, we'll accept lesser package, kind of gatekeeping David from joining, and then Juventus brought that home, which is why he went from red hot at the beginning of The Scoop to ice cold when we said nope, and then hot again in the most recent episode 5 or 6 days ago, because they then decided to play ball. And I think the important thing here, before we talk about the qualities of the player, is Comolli. We talked about this on the last episode of Turin Giants, actually, is we're going to find out real soon by Comolli's behavior, what signal he's sending to the fans, the team, and the market of what Juventus is all about this transfer window. And I think that second day of the open market, being able to kind of shoot, and Jonathan David hasn't technically joined yet, but kind of making that almost a certainty is a signal that he's not necessarily going to wait around. If the right player and the right deal is there, he's going to snap him up in an attempt to make our team better. And I really appreciate that from him, not showing a hesitancy, but maybe a purposefulness in how he's conducting the market to date, and is evidenced by this move.
The club's management, Shannon, again, juvenewslive.com. Rav is back. I know he had a website dedicated to Italian football, but if you want news strictly dedicated to Juventus, juvenewslive.com. The club's management shifted their focus to David immediately after a recent match against Real Madrid, swiftly wrapping up the economic details of the agreement. David's commitment to Juventus is evident. He already has a flight booked to Italy to complete the final steps of the transfer. Current club, Lille, well, not anymore, but Juventus now. Lille in France, position forward, primarily center forward, nationality, Canada. Let's go. First ever Canadian to play for Juve. Did some research. We did have, I forget her name, Grosso, the female player for Juve. But as far as male Juve players are concerned, he's the first Canadian to play for Juve. Speaking of Dan Colosimo. Date of birth, January 14th, 2000. Place of birth, Brooklyn. Previous club, Ghent in Belgium. Key attributes, goal scoring, speed, and finishing ability. Well, shocking for a striker. I'm excited.
Actually, I'm going to kind of challenge that a little bit, because I think I have loosely described him as a similar player to Colomwani, sort of a pacey striker, able to find space, likes to run into space. But the one notable difference in how they play is that Jonathan David is happy to drop into space deeper to find opportunities to facilitate progression, as well as to assist. So he's not only a goal scorer, but he's decent on the ball, finding space, and then to distribute. I mean, I wrote it down here. In the last 3 seasons, he's averaged across all competitions at Lille 25 goals and 7 assists per year on average, which is would be a huge upgrade from not only the goal scoring, but also the distribution that we've gotten from the forward position over the last 3 years. And I'm excited to see sort of that quote unquote complete forward aspect of his game excel here with guys like Yildiz around him that can interchange well, can maybe swap positions, as well as to both kind of work off each other for the success of the club.
Beautiful. I'm really excited. First signing for Tudor. Yeah, that was actually a question on Instagram to describe what who he's similar to. Speaking of Instagram questions, speaking of people who I signed the scarf for, this is me. This is me trying to completely getting caught off guard by someone asking me for an autograph. Like, in what world? I kept saying, but Andre, that's the dude. Andre Perez. He's been ordering from TurinGiants.com for years now, and I really appreciate him. He literally during the podcast ordered the OG Turin Giants hoodies, which are awesome, by the way. Please check out TurinGiants.com for those. And he ordered a Delle Alpi shirt, which is let me model it, huh?
I think another shout out for Dan, who may or may not still be with us in our chat. He designed that, right?
That's right. Dan Colosimo. And Dan Colosimo will also have a regular segment on our podcast. It will be more about like Juve lifestyle and what they're doing as far as fashion and maybe stuff not associated with the on-field news. So yeah, I'm really excited to have Dan Colosimo join us in the new season as well. So there's some things that are here. Sorry,
Yeah.
Zach, say something so I can pull up the text that I want to read. I'm sorry.
I think one thing that we've been kind of linked at, Juventus has been linked to recently, is the possibility of switching to a 3-4-1-2, where we might have three strikers, obviously pending Dušan's departure, but of Kolomwani, Jonathan David, and Victor Osimhen. And I think whether you have a Yildiz behind a Jonathan David with a Kolomwani or a Victor Osimhen, you have Jonathan David leading a line with Yildiz and another 10 behind. You have the possibility for, I think, a attacking trident that can work really well off each other. And that's something that I think is just impossible when you have Dusan Vlahovic on the team. He's not good in possession, and so he needs people to feed him exclusively. When you have folks who can work with each other to fashion their own chances and create chances for others, it opens up your bag of tricks, so to speak, for not only quick interchanges within maybe the attacking trio, but also bringing guys like Thuram or our wingbacks in to provide a diversity of attack that we frankly haven't had much of this year. And we certainly didn't have against Real Madrid yesterday, where all of any of our threat came down the left side.
So here's something that I wanted to bring up. And I lost I lost it again. So there's just a lot of comments because I posted something against the guy that was being racist, so I have to weed through a lot of comments here. So Jack, he was on the latest on 2 episodes ago.
Yeah, I think
he's saying in the Instagram DMs, he's saying that he is not crazy. Well, basically, we started posting scoops of the day to promote your show with Frederick, and one of the scoops of the day a couple of days ago was Tudor Eyes switched to 3-4-1-2 once Osimhen, David, and Randall Kolomwani. Jack is concerned. He says, horrible. Where does that leave Yildiz? If they do something stupid like selling Yildiz to fund the front three, I am hanging up my Juve scarf.
No, well, I'll tell Jack.
I'm sure he won't hang it up, but I did get a couple of messages from my cousin as well. He says, watch them selling Yildiz at the end of the season.
No, so I'll calm Jack and anyone else who is concerned that Yildiz would be sacrificed to fund this. That is not going to happen. Yildiz, I would expect very shortly it to be announced of his contract extension that would come with a nice little raise, as well as sort of a extension on the contract. So we're going to lock him down. If we do switch to a 3-4-1-2, the one would be Yildiz, end of story. And so that would likely spell the end of Sancho rumors, and likely also facilitate Chico's return to Porto if somehow that attacking trident that we talked about would come. If not, and we stick with the 3-4-2-1 that Tudor has generally employed across different teams he's coached, then you would have Jonathan David, either Randall Kolomwani or Osimhen, with guys like Chico, if he stays, Yildiz 100%, and maybe Sancho in the 10 position behind.
Who's the Canadian player you just mentioned?
David. Oh, you just want to play the drop there.
Oh my goodness. A quick before I forget, you have to realize I have so many things to bring up, and I kick myself every time after the podcast. Like, God damn it, why didn't I mention this? I wanted to mention our winnings from the Club World Cup. Participation bonus, 17 million euros. Win bonus, 1.8. Another win, 1.8 mil. Round of 16 bonus, 7 mil. So we total is 28 million, basically. Wish we could have gone further. But hey, that's not bad. I guess the Club World Cup, after all said and done, money is what
let's
really mattered.
let's kind of eulogize our performance, right?
Let's do it.
And so one of the things that I always think about is how is our performance relative to our expectations, right? Like Farhad, just putting you on the spot, did you think we would go any further than we did?
No.
No. So
I'm a terrible fan. I've become a realist. You know, I just call it as it is. You as a fan will not influence anything if you say something truthful. So I just became one of those fans. Like, do you really think after the Manchester City game that we'd beat Real Madrid? You know, it's just the fact that we only lost by 1. I was shocked and pleasantly surprised. That was the only thing.
I would agree with you. Like, obviously, I wanted to win. And
of course,
and as we were texting in the Turin Giants group, and we're talking about how what we think about Real Madrid game. I mean, I think I'm looking at is what is our pathway to victory, even if it's this small little chance. Like, what does that look like? Because I want to win. I think most Juve fans that I've talked to have felt like this was probably as far as we were going to get when we saw the groups. With the assumption that we'd finish second in our group to City and then have to play Real Madrid the next round. So if we kind of met expectations in terms of our performance, well, then we got to look at what were the good and the bad things that came out of it, and especially on the good, can we capitalize on that, and the bad, can we remediate that? When we talked about the bad, I've already talked about it, so I don't think we need to go further in depth about it. But if the bad is fitness and depth, okay, and we already talked about in the scoop how, at least from a depth perspective, Comoli is eyeing probably the 2 positions of need the most, as signaled by the arrival of Jonathan David. I think we also need to look at the positives. This really was at the international level, I think, the coming out party for Kenan Yildiz, and I think that's so fun for a Juve fan to have somebody who's now not just in the team, or maybe not just in our league, but worldwide now, renowned as a world-class talent.
He's definitely gained some fans.
Oh yeah, I think that's just so cool because we have so much passion, and be able to share that with the wider world. I think that is really exciting to me. I think also that it has the potential to have a lot of young kids who see a young man like him too, just balling out of control, to get them excited about the game, and to not only want to play, but also to want to play with the Juventus number 10 on the back of their jersey. Is kind of a cool moment that hasn't happened, I think, maybe since Del Piero. So I think from a positive standpoint, the rise of Yildiz may have internationally may have been such a cool positive that I got out of this, that hopefully we can continue to turn that momentum into further international interest.
Yeah, for sure. He gained a lot of fans, and I can see how we're gonna soon see a lot of edits with him wearing. Who's that? I already saw Barcelona edit him wearing a Barcelona jersey, which I can't see it, to be honest. But going back to Bayern, the reason Barcelona was brought up is because they were initially after him before we signed him, and. Yep. Should we do a couple of comments here?
Yeah.
We have Aziru. He's saying that, let's face it, we have no defense. We need 3 new defenders, period. I don't know about 3, but we do definitely need to beef up. Speaking of defenders, Bremer's wife and their child were sitting right next to us. Wonderful family. He did the warm up with the players. I got a little excited, but he's looking good. Obviously, they weren't going to risk it and have him play, but he did pretty well. What other comments we have here?
I think while we're speaking of it, Aziru, I apologize if that's not how to pronounce it, but he had remarked that he was kind of concerned, or not particularly excited about the Jonathan David arrival, saying that he doesn't view him as materially better from Dusan Vlahovic. And I think one area of his game, when you just look at him against his peers, Jonathan David does not make as many shots per game. Certainly Dusan Vlahovic and Kolomwani shoot more per game than Jonathan David did. Yet Jonathan David's production, like I said, I mean, he's averaging 35 goals, 7 assists per season over the last 3 years, is kind of stands on its own, in my opinion. So you're always going to miss sitters, good finishers here and there. I mean, Kolomwani, I think, has been pretty good for us in the finishing department. Should have absolutely put that breakaway away against Real Madrid. It happens. I think, but in my opinion, Jonathan David's overall contribution, I mean, we played him in the Champions League this year, and I thought he was extremely impressive in that game. Should hopefully, if not directly, increase our threat through his own goal scoring. I think he also has the option to bring other players into play based on his passing, that a player like Dusan Vlahovic is just incapable of doing because of his limited touch.
Yeah, for sure. There's actually a Juve News Live article on the future of Dusan Vlahovic remains unresolved. And this is kind of like an important point to know. As you mentioned, as long as him and his, what did you call it? His giant wage bill is there, it's kind of tough to make any moves, and it'll be an interesting saga. This summer, Juventus is still seeking a solution for the Serbian striker as the summer transfer window progresses. Calciomercato reports that despite ongoing speculation and club's clear intention to find him a new destination, Vlahovic has not received any concrete offers from other clubs because they've seen him play, maybe.
Well, yeah, I think that's the problem, is his play hasn't done it. But really, real talk about Vlahovic is it's a game of chicken, in my opinion, between the club and from Vlahovic himself, because it serves no purpose for him to sit out a year. He's not going to play if he stays at Juventus. You have a World Cup coming up. He is still young, and he would be absolutely neutering his long-term earning potential by sitting out a year. And so he has to play, and he will not play here. So I think what it is it's a little bit of a game of chicken between him and management, where he's trying to put the pressure on us so that we'll maybe pay part of his wages or accept some low ball from whomever, right? While other teams also are probably being told by his agent, hey, low ball Juve, because they got to let him go. I think it's going to maybe take a while, because Comoli is not the type of person, and maybe sort of his data-driven mindset is not the type of person who's just going to take a low ball just because. That was Giuntoli. And so I think, honestly, Comoli will really show his quality, not just in the signing he make, but in his ability to sell Dusan for how much, to whom, and so forth. So that, I think, may be his biggest test. And as long as he doesn't blink first, I think we'll be okay. We'll get some sort of money for him, and his wages, which just went up a lot yesterday, because it's the new fiscal year. We'll finally get off our books.
What do you say we wrap it up? I enjoy doing these one-on-one podcasts with you. Do you?
Yeah.
Do you like me? Not a fan.
No, but I do want to say, like, we want to do these live ones more often. I think it's definitely easier when it's just like the two of us, Farhad, because that allows us to rope in more naturally the folks in our chat. And I just want to shout out, first and foremost, the folks who commented on our last video. There was a lot of comments, a lot of views, as well. So guys like Giorgo who commented on it, Massimo commented on it, Mark, Khalid, let's see, there's Derek. So all of y'all who commented on our previous video, we appreciate you. Everyone who joined us live today, obviously Giorgo again, Azuru, Dan, Triz.
We're in double digits.
I'm trying to shout out everybody here. Maybe I'm scrolling too fast, so I apologize if I missed you, but we really appreciate you guys. Like I said a few videos ago, the Turin Giants community has been super cool and to be a part of since I've joined this podcast over a year ago, or roughly a year ago. And so I just want to thank y'all, and we're going to try to continue to do these live things, because interacting with you and kind of building our own sort of community around this team that we are passionate about is a lot of fun. So thank you.
Yes, sir. Definitely. Building a YouTube channel in 2025 is kind of a wild assignment, but we'll do our best. We like Zach said, we are getting responses, and we have our first meme, and I will post it on Instagram.
It's
Our
about
listeners.
us. It's about us.
It's about it. I love it so much. I'm telling you, I signed an autograph. I took a picture with fans. Now we're getting memes. We're getting up there, man. It's gonna be a good season. Zach, thank you, and thank you to the boys that filled in. Frederick and Kevin and Damiano is here in the comments. So thank you all. Hope we brought a little clarity and comedy to the craziness of this day today with all the news happening. Certainly a good day to be a Juve fan with the signing of Jonathan David.
It's a salve
hopefully.
on the defeat, at least. I think anyone feeling a little bit sour after the defeat, this certainly it lessens it.
Yeah. And whoever went to see Juve live, make sure I say at the end of every episode to stay hydrated. I mean it. Playing a game in Miami in the middle of summer at 3 p.m. is just, or whatever it was, 2 p.m. was just madness. If I changed one thing about the tournament, it would definitely be the starting games. And I know they were trying to appease the European audience, but you know what?
Think the World Cup's going to be here next year, and they're going to be playing games in Houston, and they're going to be playing games in Dallas. Texas is extremely hot, but if I'm not mistaken, they'll be playing them in stadiums like the Dallas Cowboy Stadium in Dallas. It's got a roof. The football stadium here in Houston, retractable roof. So if it is that hot, you at least have the flexibility with those stadiums to be inside with air conditioning, so people aren't evaporating.
I saw a person disappear. Literally, it was that hot.
Straight up evaporate.
Just they lost their child to evaporation. That's one thing. But you know what, Juve fans, again, shout outs to all the North American fan clubs. There was Central Florida, Toronto, obviously. They have a huge fan club there. And now with a Canadian player being on Juve, you mentioned Yildiz announcing himself. We're going to bring in huge, Canadian population. Does that make sense? The fans will flock. The Canadian fans.
Canadian fans. How about with that?
That's right. So we love our
you're
friends
in
to the
Chicago,
north.
I'm from Detroit. We're right there. We're neighbors practically. We will
right.
welcome our Canadian fans with open arms.
That's right. And it's a big deal for North American footy fans for sure. All right, Zach. Thank you, buddy. Always a pleasure. Thanks to everyone in the comments. And we'll see you guys very soon. And Zach will be back with the new episode of The Scoop. Please don't miss it.
Later this week, yep.
I've never meant it more than before. Stay hydrated, check on your friends, and Forza Juve.
Siamo finiti in B, gli unici a pagare per calciopoli. E qui non ci piove, che nel cuore di scudetti sono 29. Voglio tutto e tutti solo per seguirti.
We need to upgrade the song, I'm telling you.
Bianco nero, bianco nero, un solo grido.
Any rappers out there?
Bianco nero, bianco nero, bianco nero, bianco nero. Per 29 volte campioni d'Italia, per niente e nulla al mondo abbandonerò sta squadra. Tra tutte quante di fissa più stile, storia di un amore senza una fine.
Get the fuck out of here. Get the fuck out. I want to get the fuck out of here.
Come on, let's get the fuck out of here.
Get the fuck out of here.
Get the fuck out of here.
Oh, get the fuck out of here. Get the fuck out of here. You're not